Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another Digital Service Squad webinar. And my name is Ben Frisch with your local Digital Service Squad, also joined today by Rochelle Reynolds.
Hello.
And Amy Kells from our team as well.
Morning.
And Karen Gibson is from our team as well. She's amongst the participants this morning. So we're all here. And the Digital Service Squad, of course, is programs provided to you by the Digital Main Street program that is helping to support you in your digital transformation. And of course, the Digital Main Street program is supported by the Ontario government, the Ontario BIA Association, and the Toronto Association of BIAs. And here locally, we are managed by, in South Georgian Bay, by the Small Business Enterprise Center, the South Georgian Bay Small Business Enterprise Center. And in Grey County, we are managed by the Grey County Enterprise Center, the Business Enterprise Center of Grey County. A lot of long names, but yeah, they help to bring that funding to both counties, and we're excited to be here and provide local businesses with hands-on digital marketing support and information in webinars just like this. And today we're talking about getting started with e-commerce. So I'm going to hand it off to Rochelle, who's going to take us through today's webinar. Take it away.
All right, thank you all so much. So yes, today we are talking about the wonderful world of e-commerce, which is of course growing rapidly by the minute, it seems like. All right, so let's begin at the beginning. So e-commerce is defined as commercial actions conducted electronically over the internet. So the thing is, this is what I love about e-commerce. It can be really anything. It's not just exclusively, hey, I've set up an online store and I'm selling through that online store. It really is any kind of system that you have in place that exchanges goods and services for a fee. And I'll break that down and why that's not just an online store. Now, I did this webinar last year, and so I was really excited to check out how these stats had changed. So yeah, e-commerce sales are expected to grow by 10.4% this year alone. And that's up from like, I think it was 7.5 or something when I did this webinar in 2022. So that's very interesting. And that just shows that like, yeah, this trend is just continuing to snowball and become something that is important for really any business at this point. Okay, so as I said, e-com does not necessarily mean that you have shoppable products available on a website. It could be something like maybe you use email marketing in order to drive sales or register participants for programs that you run. It could mean that you are simply listing products or services in Facebook Marketplace and those other kind of online, hold on, oh, thank you, Ben. If you have any questions, please drop them in the chat or the Q&A function that we have. Thank you. It can also mean, yeah, utilizing those public forums and groups. You can run an entire business exclusively through social media platforms like Instagram and Pinterest, for example. And it could just mean that you have kind of that old school setup, the one that I used to rock myself. It was my tried and true method of, hey, I can offer these things. It's all listed on my website. If you're interested, send me an email and we can sort this out via e-transfer. I wouldn't recommend that. That's a bit archaic. It was archaic even when I was doing it. But all I'm saying is, you know, if the shoe fits, you can make it work. E-commerce does not have to mean that your strategy is the most you know, advanced and well-developed practice in the entire universe. It can be sort of that rudimentary assistive, and it still counts. All right, so today we are going to be talking about 3 platforms in particular, kind of the big 3, or at least the big 3 that I see businesses in our respective area using a lot. And that would be Shopify, WooCommerce, and Squarespace. So what I'll say is, again, the reason why I'm focusing on these 3 is because they really are kind of the titans, especially in our sort of like local sphere, the clients that I work with through the digital service squad, they're almost always using one of these 3 platforms, but there are so many more available. Yeah, something that comes to mind is Kajabi, for example. That's a fantastic platform, particularly if your business is service-based and relies on like creating and selling courses and things. That's a great program, and that is just one of many that exist. So don't get yourself pigeonholed. If these 3 don't quite do it for you, there are so many other ways that you can go. All right, so we're going to start off with Shopify. Shopify is a Canadian-run, out-of-the-box, bespoke e-com platform, and it's fantastic. The thing about Shopify is it started off as an e-commerce solution first and kind of a website builder second. So that's kind of the big thing about Shopify is it is really advantageous for people who just want to get selling products quickly and effectively. That is its specialization. Shopify has continued to expand and grow, and it really has sort of listened to the feedback that it got from a lot of retailers who said, like, hey, this e-com thing is great, but it's really annoying that I have this great e-com platform via Shopify, but then in store, it's a totally different ballgame. And like, I'm constantly having to like manually update my inventory and ensure that my sales are talking to each other. Like Shopify really listened to that, and they have made it very, very easy for retailers with both an in-person and an online presence to integrate that seamlessly. So many of you on the call may already be using these kind of tools available, but essentially Shopify has its own dedicated POS system that can be, that can fully replace whatever system you're currently using in your own brick and mortar store. And it really does function best when it is serving as that central mission control. That is the clear advantage to going the Shopify route. All right, so Shopify POS options. So Shopify is designed to support both online and in-store sales. As I said, it started off as online only, and then it really, embraced going brick and mortar and being kind of that central place for retailers to be able to successfully sell in both capacities. So if you are online only, Shopify Payments allows for very secure checkouts without any third-party accounts. So that's another distinct advantage to Shopify. The idea is they want you to be able to get your store up and running and out the door literally within hours, and to be able to start capturing sales without having to worry about installing a bunch of extra plugins and extensions and all this sort of stuff. Like they try and make it as easy and bespoke as possible. A great advantage to Shopify is it already has a lot of built-in capabilities in terms of international sales. Since Shopify is Canadian, it is very aware that lots of basically, it's aware that as a Canadian company, that Canadians are not necessarily the most, I guess, like they don't part with their money as easily as like US customers and international customers and everything. Like Canadians are notoriously a bit more frugal that way. So Shopify made it very easy from the start to be able to enable your sales in your store to like sell and ship internationally and whatnot. So if you are online and in store, Shopify has made it easier to integrate with your current point of sale system in store, or you can switch entirely to the Shopify point of sale for a streamlined backend. Now, that is absolutely what they want you to do, because of course they do. That means that you're becoming a bigger and better customer with them, but they will work with you. Shopify has great customer service. Like that's continues to be sort of like one of its also like standout features is they really do try and work with their customers to provide the best experience possible for them. So if you come to them and say, I have a great setup with, I don't know, Moneris or whatever, and I'm really happy with my current in-store point of sale system, they will work with you on that and find help you find ways to integrate what you already have with what you're doing online with Shopify. So that's a good thing. But you know, because the Shopify juggernaut has become what it is, there may be advantages to just entirely switching over. That's absolutely something that you may discover for yourself. Inventory management. So Shopify offers some sophisticated inventory management solutions. You can add, remove, and manage all your products exclusively through the Shopify backend. So it makes updating that quite simple. It really is sort of like a one-stop shop. A cool thing is if you are using the Shopify point of sale in store, again, the clear advantage is that your online store and your in-person, like brick and mortar store, they will talk to each other automatically. Like that is the clear advantage of going entirely Shopify. You basically just need to like check in and make sure that all of your T's are crossed and I's are dotted in that regard. But it is pretty much automatic in terms of ensuring that all of your inventory is up to date. So that's really great. If you are not going that route, like if you want Shopify for your online sales and you want to keep what you have on the go in store, you will need to manually update that or use some kind of something like Zapier or something to set up how those two systems talk to each other. So again, it's totally not an impossible thing, but there is an advantage to going full Shopify. And if you're like, oh no, does that mean that I should really consider moving? Yeah, and you know, migrating is absolutely possible. It is not out of the question to you know, start with a Shopify online store, realize that you really like what's going on there, and migrate your brick and mortar store over to that. Shopify looks great. Been using Square inside QuickBooks. Would Shopify replace or work next to Square? That's a great question, and I have no idea off the top of my head. If somebody could check into it, I would imagine that Shopify and Square do have a partnership, because Shopify has like quite literally hundreds of partnerships with other organizations and whatnot. But I don't know that answer off the top of my head.
Most likely, I would say you would replace your Square. Like if you're using Square for, especially if you're using Square for any product sales, Shopify will just, do all of that. One thing I don't know is the integration with QuickBooks, but I imagine there must be some integration there because Square ties in nicely with QuickBooks. I imagine Shopify would too.
Does Shopify allow you to keep the inventory segregated for online and in-store, or it shows only one inventory pool? That's a good question. It would depend. I believe that would depend entirely on whether you are going full Shopify or not. Oh, apparently chat is disabled, Ben. So that's not good. Okay, so yes, excuse me. If you are going, okay, I'm just trying to like parse through this question here. So if your system is entirely Shopify run, so you have your in-store Shopify POS and you're using Shopify online, then that would be one inventory pool, because it's designed to be fully integrated that way. If you have something different going on in store and you are setting up such that it manually talks to your online store, then you would have two separate inventory pools that would be speaking to one another, and sometimes would require manual integration. That is how that would work. Sorry, chat is now active. Okay. Excellent. Moving right along. So Shopify shipping solutions. Okay, so this is another thing. Because Shopify really wanted to make it possible for retailers to be able to sell their products internationally, they already have shipping sorted out for the most part. Again, Shopify has quite literally hundreds of partnerships with other organizations. so many extensions and plugins to choose from. They want to give you all the options that you could possibly think of. Like they want to make it impossible for you to want to go anywhere else. So within Shopify itself, you can create, purchase, and print your shipping labels right in Shopify, which is great. You can set up shipping, local delivery, and local pickup options. You can set up your flat rates, item-specific rates, or custom free shipping for certain order sizes and customer profiles, and that is fabulous. I think we have all been there when we've been sort of loading up our online shopping carts, and you get addicted to just adding one more item to unlock that free shipping thing. You can do that with ease within Shopify. It's a great way to increase your sales ultimately, like you're padding those bills while still giving your customers superior experience. There are many customers out there who are turned off immediately if they know that they will never qualify for free shipping, right? So Shopify wants to make it easy for you to set that up. And Shopify already has great partnerships with carriers like Canada Post, UPS, and FedEx. So that's really awesome that way. Why do I keep, okay, excellent. So this is a new thing that I've added. I really wanted to talk a little bit about how all of these platforms work for service-based industries, because many service-based industries are making a huge pivot towards being able to provide their services online now, more so in the last couple of years in particular. So Shopify is actually really coming along with that. It can work very well if you are service-based. So they already have seamless integrations with calendar and appointment apps, so you can set up your booking calendars and all of that. It allows for advanced product listing customization. So listing different service offerings is hassle-free. So what do I mean by that? Well, it means, if you offer, I don't know, like service packages or something, like if you're like a massage therapist or something like that, it's very easy for you to create the different packages that are necessary for your offering. So something like a complimentary introductory session, a one-time session, a package of 5, a package of 10. You can do that very easily through Shopify. And Shopify is also pretty good for online classes and programs as well. I have personal experience with that, so I created an online course that I've still yet to launch, but it's all done. It's ready to go. I just need to not be afraid to hit go on it, essentially. And I've done that exclusively through Shopify. It's quite easy that way. It's really there are ways to set up like those user-only portals in order to ensure that only the people who purchase your courses or your classes are able to access it. That's a huge thing, right? You don't want people to be able to just like share your proprietary content, and Shopify makes it possible to do that. Okay, we're going to move on to WooCommerce. Hold on. What is the benefit of using an e-commerce platform for classes versus using our administration booking system? Yeah, so I mean, one thing is it depends on your industry. So some services are like have more regulations and stuff, right? So I'm thinking about something like more traditional psychotherapy or something like that. You can't legally offer that through an e-com platform. That would be a violation of your like I guess it would be HIPAA essentially. But for something like yoga therapy, well, going e-com could be a great way if you have merch that you sell, or if you really want to I guess enable yourself to pivot to offering more things that you're able to sell. Yeah, that would be my thing with that. If you are exclusively selling, just like appointments within classes that you run every week or something, then yeah, I'd say probably going e-com isn't necessary. If you have a good system going on with your online appointment calendar and stuff, then yeah, I wouldn't say you necessarily need to switch to an e-com platform. Okay. Oh, thank you, Sharon. I'm so glad that I answered that question perfectly. That's my goal. That's my goal at all times in my life. Okay. All right. We're going to on to WooCommerce now.
There's one more in the chat here as well.
Oh, what's this? Do you think Shopify is better than Square? Oh, just you wait. We are getting to that. We are coming to that shortly. So I'm going to put a pin in that question, and I will compare and contrast Shopify versus Squarespace, Square/Squarespace. Yeah, they talk to each other. Okay, so WooCommerce at a glance. WooCommerce is the most, okay, basically if you're using a WordPress site, then you're enabling that site for e-commerce, then WooCommerce is going to be the way to go, because that is just the natural order of things. WooCommerce is designed to be custom built and custom run, the same with any kind of WordPress based thing. The advantage to that is you can really build the store that you need, nothing more, nothing less. With Shopify, again, you are getting like the sort of the flagship, like primo e-com experience. You will be able to do anything and everything that you want for the most part with Shopify. Like, it is designed to be that easy and user friendly that way. WooCommerce is really designed to be built and disseminated by web developers who know what's up, who can speak to the business owner, understand exactly what it is that they're looking for, and build that e-commerce, WooCommerce based e-commerce site to a T that way. WooCommerce requires way more time to set up, and it requires lots of plugins and extensions, but again, it offers more flexibility for business owners, right? It's like, if Shopify is sort of the Cadillac of the e-com experience, WooCommerce is like the custom built race car. It's going to be more efficient, and it's going to really just like, it'll give you all the benefits and features that you need for your specific business, nothing more, nothing less. It can be really, really cost effective, because like WordPress, the software itself is free. So you can set up WooCommerce at no charge today, but what you will end up having to pay for are all of the extensions and plugins that you need to make that store really work for you as you need. And again, as I already said, this is generally the preferred e-com solution among web developers, because they understand the programming, like they understand what they need that store to do. All right, we got a Q&A. How is Woo more? Right, so I did sort of already answer that. So because WooCommerce is custom designed and custom built, you can create the store that fits your needs more effectively than something like Shopify, where you kind of get everything in the kitchen sink, whether you need it or not. That's what I meant by that. All right, so WooCommerce inventory management. So again, everything about WooCommerce is like the advantage to WooCommerce is that it is fully customizable. So that applies to your inventory management as well. So things like foo sales, which is a real thing, that is really what they chose to call it, and Lightspeed are great inventory and point of sale management extensions. Those are kind of like the two most common ones. Generally, if you're working in WooCommerce, you've heard of Lightspeed and you've heard of foo sales. There are very simple solutions for service-based in businesses that require appointments and reservations. So basically all that means is like, there are many extensions and plugins available if what you need is calendar booking functionality or appointment booking functionality. And there are extensions available for managing your online and your in-store experience. But once again, because WooCommerce is not like Shopify, like you can't get a WooCommerce point of sale system in your store or anything. No matter what, you will have to create those relationships between your online and your in-store experience and ensure that those are talking to each other effectively. And that will require manual setup, which is why working with a web developer is recommended unless WordPress and WooCom really is your game. One nice thing about WooCommerce, one thing that I will really say is, again, because it is fully customizable, when it comes to shipping options and solutions, this is a great opportunity to really drill down on exactly what you need. So the scalability is really bar none with WooCommerce. If all you need is local shipping to start off with, then you can set that up with ease. If and you can continue growing your WooCommerce platform and its shipping options as dictated by your business. So that's an advantage there for sure. So WooCommerce shipping and table rate are both fully integrated shipping solutions. Again, if you're already in this space, you may have already heard of these. And you have options to set up things like barcode generators for tickets and packing slips and whatnot. And a cool thing, this is something that I learned that's new. Well, I mean, it's not new, it was new information to me. There are great extensions to connect with fulfillment centers like Amazon. So if you're going the drop shipping route, like if that's kind of where you're heading and you don't want physical inventory building up in your home or your warehouse, WooCommerce is a great option for being able to like connect that shipping functionality with those third-party fulfillment centers, and then you have all the information you need, and you're charging people accurately every single time, but you don't actually have to deal with shipping the products yourself physically. So that's something to keep in mind if that's kind of the way that you're going. WooCommerce for services. WooCommerce is also suitable for service-based businesses. So again, there are already lots of plugins and extensions available for this. Easy Appointments is a free one, so that's really great. That was also new for me. I was really excited when I found that out. And WP Courseware is a great option for online courses and members-only content. I watched a whole webinar on this. WP Courseware is an awesome program. If you have a WordPress site, and if you are, perhaps you are that yoga studio that chimed in earlier, if you have a WordPress site and you're looking to extend your offerings and include online course packages and whatnot, WP Courseware could be your solution. I would highly recommend checking that out. It's a great option for folks like that. Okay, so now we are moving on to Squarespace. All right, now here's the thing about Squarespace. Squarespace is the complete opposite of Shopify. Remember how I said that Shopify started as an excellent online store that turned into a website builder? Squarespace is the opposite. Squarespace started off as the place to create really amazing content-driven websites, and they have migrated into the e-com space over time. So that is something to keep in mind. A lot of you may already have fully functional Squarespace sites that look fantastic, and you may be looking, or maybe you already have transitioned that site into an e-commerce enabled site. And what you will sort of notice is, like, basically it's fine, like it's come a long way, but the e-com side of things is and always will be sort of second fiddle to the beautiful, awesome content driven site that you have been able to create with this platform. That's kind of what the big difference is there with that. Squarespace has really risen in popularity over the years, and it does offer some sophisticated out-of-the-box e-commerce solutions. The thing is, there are just like fewer options available. Like Shopify has, as I've mentioned, quite literally hundreds of partnerships and extensions and plugins and all this sort of stuff. And Squarespace has something like 31. It is incredibly small in terms of what they currently have on the go. So yeah. Here's sort of what I've learned about Squarespace and Squarespace for ecom. So it is the ideal option for information-based sites that also sell products and services as opposed to an online store. It is very hard to integrate outside apps and plugins, and parts of the site code with Squarespace are completely inaccessible. So that's something to keep in mind as well. There are some things, excuse me, that you actually cannot access because of how Squarespace is set up as a site builder. So what do I mean by information-based sites that also sell products and services? Well, Squarespace is a great option for like artists and musicians. Like if basically your site is just designed to get people on board with you and your brand and what it is that you're creating out in the world. Photographers and in particular just came to mind. Then Squarespace could be the right place for you, because you can create a really outstanding site, and then you can also just add options to sell your the new music you've dropped, or give people options to buy photos that are available and whatnot. You can do that with Squarespace effectively. If you're like a major clothing brand or something like that, I don't think Squarespace is the place for you, and we will get into why. Squarespace point of sale options. Yeah, so this is very much designed to support online sales more than in person. Squarespace is not sort of ideal for integrating with a retail store. Online, it only integrates with PayPal and Stripe. It cannot be paired with physical point of sale systems in store in Canada at all. Yeah, it's limited that way. And there are way more limited international selling capabilities, again, because it's only working with PayPal and Stripe here in Canada right now. And here's another thing. So this was a very specific thing, but I thought it was like a really big deal. So the abandoned cart saver option. So basically that's like when people are on your site and they're filling up their cart, but then they don't follow through with a purchase, you won't actually get those nudges sent, like emailed to them or anything, unless you use their commerce plan, which is their like biggest sort of plan that they have available. And that's $65 a month. So that's something to think about, right? Like if your business is one where there are a lot of like browsers or cart fillers, and it takes a couple of attempts to close that sale that way, Squarespace might not be the spot for you. Shopify, on the other hand, includes those abandoned cart savers automatically, like with any of their plans. So yeah. Whoa, I run a DJ company, was told to use Dubsado as CRM. Does Shopify work as CRM as well? Yes, it does. You'd have to set that up, so it's not something that is automatic, but yes, you can enable that. And that's actually kind of what I was talking about with the abandoned cart savers. Like in a way, that's kind of a CRM tool a little bit, right? Because it's keeping track of where people are in their path to purchase and helping you close that deal. So yes, the answer is yes. Okay, inventory management. Yeah, okay, so this is where Squarespace really is for certain people or certain retailers and not others. It's only really meant for people with small product catalogs or services. There's a 10,000 product and service cap, which is a lot. Like, my goodness, 10,000 products and services is an awful lot. But the thing is, you have a limitation on the variance between your products. So again, going the like clothing store route, think about this. If you sell, a green shirt in sizes extra small through to extra large, you're actually gonna have a really hard time listing all of those options that people have. There's a limit on 3. So that means that of your green shirts, you can only list 3 of those sizes. If you have green shirts, red shirts, blue shirts, black shirts, and white shirts, you can actually only list 3 of those, right? Now, again, there are ways to work around that. Like, of course, if you have an option to list up to 10,000 things, yes, you can find a way to list all of your inventory. But all I'm getting at is basically, like, if people click on the green shirt option, you'd have to sort of divide it out between, like, well, these are the extra small to small green shirts, and then here's another green shirt. These are the medium to extra large green shirts, and then a third product listed. These are the extra large to extra large green shirts. You know what I mean? Like, you can't have all the variants in one product listing. So that's why I'm sort of saying, like, Squarespace is not ideal for merchants with like extraordinary catalogs that really have lots of variations to them. And there are much fewer integrated apps and plugins to assist with inventory management, but it is changing. So credit where credit is due, like Squarespace is listening. Squarespace wants to become a major player in this field, and they are striking new deals every day with more partners. There's something else in the chat. Okay. Shipping, yay, shipping. So Squarespace has a growing number of shipping apps and plugins available. The two that are their top integrations are Shippo, which is the best app name I've ever heard of in my life, and ShipStation. Those are the top two, and those are like big ones, right? Like lots of people use Shippo and ShipStation. They're fantastic shipping plugins or integrations or whatever. I always get confused about whether it's an extension or a plugin or an integration or an app. So I just sort of use all terms at all times. There are ways to make your Squarespace store work for you by using third-party connectors and tools like Zapier. So again, with all this stuff, it's important not to get stuck in sort of that one-track mind thinking of like, oh, if Squarespace doesn't do this, then it's not right for me. We live in the digital age where it is possible to make anything happen. It's just sometimes you need a helping hand, right? So if you're already working with a Squarespace site and you want to stay with your Squarespace site, like you don't want to start migrating away from it or using another platform, and you're like, shoot, I don't know if Squarespace is right for me and the online store that I want to launch. Like it's worth having a conversation. I wouldn't say write off Squarespace immediately. That wouldn't be fair to the platform, right? It just means that you may need to create a bit more of a, I guess, dynamic solution that involves a couple more players in the mix in order to create what you need to happen. Squarespace is already working with FedEx, UPS, and USPS, so that's great. But it only covers domestic shipping. So again, it is possible to sell internationally, and ship internationally. No one is saying that you cannot do this, but you will just need to set up more extensions and use more third-party apps to help with that. Squarespace for services. Now, this is where Squarespace really does, like it kind of shines in this regard, because again, Squarespace started as a great place for people to create content-driven websites, and a lot of content-driven websites lean more to the service-based industry to begin with, right? So calendar and appointment apps are available in-house, which is really, really nice. It's easy to create subscription-based services, so that's a really unique advantage. Again, going back to sort of that like artist kind of profile. So if you are a musician and what's important to you is growing your email list, so that all of your listeners stay up to date with when your next album is dropping, or when a single is released, or when you're on tour, etc., etc. Squarespace is a great place for this, because it really does want those sort of like subscription-based models to succeed. It's suitable for businesses offering courses and training programs, and it works well in conjunction with digital products like ebooks and audio files. So again, kind of something that's like more content driven is going to succeed pretty well on Squarespace. So that is something to keep in mind, and you're going to have a really killer site for people to look at. Like, yeah, it's good that way. Okie dokie. So rounding this out, because I want to have lots of time for questions and whatnot. The big thing is you must keep your site together. So no matter which route you decide to go, it's crucial to consider your end user experience as well as your back-end processes. So like basically what I mean by that is, really take stock of what your starting point is. Where is your website at currently? Excuse me, what is it built on? What can it do? Are you happy with it? And what is the next logical move based on answering all those questions? Again, if your site is already on WordPress, then I don't see why you wouldn't want to go the WooCommerce route. That just stands to reason. That would be the most natural sort of progression that way. But if your site is built on WordPress, but you already have a fully functional in-store point of sale system, well, I mean, that gives you something to think about, right? Because while going WooCommerce is the most natural progression for your online sales, then you're going to have to really think about the relationship between your online sales and your in-store sales. And maybe the next logical step could be like, you know what, I actually want to move over to Shopify entirely because I want to use the Shopify POS. I want Shopify to be my mission control, and I want seamless integration between my online and in-store experience, right? So there's not necessarily like a one size fits all kind of answer to that, but at the end of the day, it's about thinking about what is the best experience for your customers, what gives them the easiest path to purchase and will keep them coming back to you, and what's going to be the smallest and least painful headache for you as the person who ultimately needs to run this like enterprise for yourself. So that brings us to things like Shopify Lite, where if you already have a great site that you really like and you just want an excellent and easy online store experience, Shopify Lite enables you to sell your products through your website, but you just check out through Shopify. So basically, like, rather than building a whole site through Shopify, you just build your catalog out. And then on your website that you already have, you have a buy button installed there. You can list all your products. And then when people click on the product that they want, they just get redirected to your Shopify catalog for that checkout process, right? Like, that's a workaround that lots of businesses use, and that is extremely effective for lots of people. WooCommerce, again, will integrate seamlessly with WordPress. That's the clear advantage there. And Squarespace is ideal for content-driven businesses that also want to sell online. So basically, yeah, that's kind of the distinguishing factor there. What is your primary goal? If it's not to sell things online immediately, then maybe Squarespace is the way to go with that. But if the goal is like, I want to open an online store to sell things right away, Squarespace might not be the right fit. Okay. So now we get to our lovely Digital Main Street program and what Digital Main Street offers. So Digital Main Street has been running two major e-com initiatives for businesses looking to start or expand their online sales. One is Shop Here. Now, we've been talking about Shop Here for years now. It's a fabulous program. It is a dedicated partnership with Shopify to get entrepreneurs and small business owners up and running with their own fully built Shopify site. It's amazing. I went through the Shop Here program myself. I can attest to it personally. Basically, it's like it runs for a minimum of like 2 weeks and a maximum of 6 weeks, depending on the extent of your store and how much, honestly, hand-holding you require. But basically, when you're enrolled in Shop Here, you get paired up with a Shopify expert. They help you design your own store, whatever that looks like. They show you how to use Shopify. They ensure that you are fully comfortable with how your new site works, and then they hand it off to you and you get to run it for yourself. It comes with a free trial of Shopify, so there really are no strings attached. If at the end of your free trial it's just not for you, then again, no strings attached. You're not stuck with this thing. Like, you basically just let it go and you know, you have that experience and you have that knowledge, but there's no obligation for you to follow through with it. The other big thing that's being run is the Canadian Digital Adoption Program, or CDAP. That is a $2,400 grant designated to help businesses with costs relating to adopting e-commerce and supported by a network of e-commerce advisors. So basically, it's a grant to help you wherever you are get to the next stage in your e-com journey. And along with that, you get paired up with, again, like an e-com expert who can advise and just like guide you through the process so that funding is used as appropriately as possible. So those are two great programs to check out. I'm sure someone can drop the link to those in the chat.
Can I just jump in real quick?
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention, so with Shop Here, one of the main questions is like, well, what platform do they use? And so you do have an option there, and the options are Shopify, Square, Lightspeed, and another one called Bookmark. Is that what it is? Yeah. And And so that's why, yeah, these kind of the webinar approach that Rochelle took, I think is so awesome, because you have to really think about sort of the pros and cons of all these different platforms and where you're coming from, where you need to get to, and which one is right for you. And yeah, but the cool thing is, like I said, they do have some options there. Notice they don't have WooCommerce because it is very development heavy. So that's why. But anyone who probably has a WooCommerce and is looking to, or excuse me, a WordPress website is looking to integrate their e-commerce, hopefully they could qualify for the Seed app and use that money to pay a developer and get their e-commerce fully customized and up and running.
Yes, yes, indeed. I understand that this is a question. I understand that e-transfer can be integrated with WooCommerce, but Shopify doesn't. You still need to use invoicing, etc. Is this information I received correct? I have no idea. All right, let me read that again. I understand that e-transfer can be integrated with WooCommerce, but Shopify doesn't. You still need to use invoicing, etc. I mean, that makes sense to me, because the idea behind Shopify is like, it gives you any online checkout option under the sun to eliminate the need for you to go the e-transfer route. But with that being said, like, I can attest with the store that I created for myself through Shop Here, there was a certain product or a certain service that I was offering that could not be listed. Like it was a unique situation, and so I needed to have that like e-transfer capability set up that way, just because of the nature of that. So yeah, it's absolutely possible to do that. It would basically just require that, like, for whatever that product or service is, you'd have to have sort of like a footnote there saying like, this product can't actually be purchased online, like contact us to set up an e-transfer route or something like that. That would just require some additional communication in terms of how it's actually listed in your catalog. So yeah, it's absolutely possible. It's just not it's not what Shopify is really designed for. Like, Shopify is designed to create the smoothest path to purchase possible, and having an e-transfer sort of thing is an inherent kind of roadblock to that. But that's all good. Like, there are unique situations that require that all the time. Yeah. Can you speak to Square, the POS system, as a website building platform? Okay, right on, cool. Hold on. Can you? This is difficult to do. Okay, can you speak to Square, the POS system, as a website building platform? Good or bad? I heard Square. Yeah. So, okay. The thing about Square is, yeah, it really, like, it's kind of a unique case, isn't it? Because they really prided themselves on being like the cheap and easy on-the-go POS. And then they kind of went like, oh, you know what a really good idea is? Getting into e-commerce. So we better become a website builder as well. So what I'd say to that is, I think that it is quite good, because they kind of went in reverse of something like Shopify, for example. Like, they started off as again, that like in-store POS that now wants people to also use them online and whatnot. I know that Square is challenging for service-based online sales. I know that there are, like, with the clients that I've worked with, there's been a repeated theme of like, oh, I have, like, Square is great for my in-store stuff, but I find it's a bit of a headache for my online stuff. But that has always been with specific reference to, I run classes, I offer workshops, I offer like service-based experiences. And I think that's just because there's a limitation within Square as a builder to do things like integrate appointment calendars and stuff. Like, Square and Acuity have a good relationship. I know that that's sort of like, that's a natural partnership there. So that's great. but I think that's sort of like, that's kind of the way to go. Like I think it's basically, it's kind of the same as the Squarespace situation, where like all of these solutions are available, but they're just very limited. Like rather than with Shopify where you have like 20 different options to choose from, with Square and Squarespace, it's like you got one or two, and if the one or two don't quite work for you, then you're going to have to start using Zapier and those other tools to like make that relationship work better for you. Yeah. All right. Oh my goodness. Right, here's where we are. I've built my website. Yeah, I built my website with Square and I found it extremely limited. Yeah, you would. Yeah, that is kind of where it is again, just because of what that relationship is. Like they really just sort of went like, wow, we cornered this awesome market to make like point of sale systems easy for everybody to have. Oh, everybody wants to buy online now. Well, I guess we better start becoming a website builder. So yeah, it is limited, but again, like none of these things are impossible. Like all of these builders and platforms that we've talked about, they're all great. Like they really are. They are all the ideal solution for the right target customer, right? And I think that is the trial and error component. Like you really have to take a deep dive into what is the extent of my product catalog listing capabilities? What does shipping look like? What do international payments look like? Like you really need to be clear on what it is that your online shopping experience needs to be, and then find what is the best fit for you. Because if you just sort of go with like, oh, buddy down the street recommended this one, so I'm going to go with that too, then you're going to find, oh shoot, I really wish I had gone with something else because I didn't think about this unique situation that I have that buddy down the street doesn't have. Yeah. I have a domain with another platform. Can it be easily transferred to Woo or Shopify? Also, can you talk about the actual cost between Woo and Shopify? What are the main differences? All right, so I'll answer the second question first. So again, with WooCommerce, there is a world in which you can run that for absolutely $0. That is possible, depending on the kind of store that you need to set up. But for the most part, that's impossible because people need their shop to do certain things. And WooCommerce is, again, entirely extension based. So it basically depends on like, well, what are the extensions that you're looking at? What are their monthly fees? You could have a WooCommerce store running every month for like as little as $10, or you could have it running for like $250. It depends on what your store needs to do and what extensions you're running. Shopify, if you go with Shopify Lite, so that's where you install that buy button on your present site, that's $10 US a month, so it's very, very cost effective. If you're going with the standard Shopify site, like just sort of the flagship standard package, that's like $49 or for either $39 or $49 a month US. And you get your full store, like everything is unlocked and everything. And then if you're like running some enormous brand and you need like the Shopify, what's it called? Shopify Commerce Plus or something? Sorry.
Shopify Plus.
Yeah, yeah, that one. That's quite expensive. Yeah, so that's that. In terms of answering your second question, you have a domain with another platform. Can it be easily transferred to Woo or Shopify? I mean, I'd say the route that I would recommend exploring first is, can you go with Shopify Lite and keep your site where it is and just make it shoppable? I'd say that would be my first course of action, not knowing anything else about your situation.
Well, yeah, so you can point your domain anywhere. So sometimes though, if you purchase your domain through your website builder platform, that can be kind of a bad situation because sometimes you feel, held hostage with that company, because you can buy a domain through Shopify, but you want to think about your domain as a completely separate product. You can buy a domain from GoDaddy, from HostPapa, from like Google. there's any number of companies, there's a bazillion companies that sell domains. And it's a separate product that you're basically just pointing to the website server where your website exists. So if you think about it that way, you can point your domain at any which way you want. You can switch it at any point in time if you happen to jump ship and change platforms. An added response to like your price question too, I would say you do want to think about development costs. So for WooCommerce, you're probably looking at more of an upfront fee for someone to develop that. Could be anywhere from 2,000 to 5,000. That's just a ballpark estimate or guesstimate, let's say. And then per transaction fee. So when you hook up like a payment processor like Stripe or Square, you're going to pay per transaction, but you're sort of like you're sort of done with monthly, although you're also paying for hosting. So there's a lot of different costs that have to be taken into consideration. Plus, when it comes to Shopify, I have found that they do start to get you with the apps. So when you start putting apps with additional functionality on your Shopify store, they're great and all, and they can add some excellent functionality, but then they're always like $20 a month, $30 a month, $50 a month. Like it really can start adding up pretty quickly to that monthly fee that you're going to be paying. So it's almost, it's a hard thing to compare, but you have to be sort of thinking about these different costs and what's more manageable for you as a business.
All right. So that brings us to, does Shop Here offer help with Shopify Lite? Yes, it does. Yes. So if you go through the Shop Here program, they're going to show you how to set up your fully functional Shopify store regardless, because that just is the program. But you can outline to them like, well, I'm more interested in Shopify Lite, so like we can do this. Like show me this site and show me how to build it and everything. But at the end of the day, like my goal is just to have a catalog up and running that I can integrate with my current website, and they'll help me with that too. All right. Well, that brings us to 11. So thank you all so much. As always, please connect with us. Please connect with your digital service squad. The link to book a consultation is on the slide there. It's also in the chat, I believe. And you can get connected with us through the Small Business Enterprise Center and the Gray County Enterprise Center. I can never remember the name of that one. The one in Gray County. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. This was wonderful. It was lovely to be able to speak with you all today. Oh, good. I'm so glad, Marian. Oh, thank you, Santiago. All right. Have a wonderful day, everybody. We will sign off. Goodbye.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.